Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. So in today's video, I am going to be showing you how to create this lovely dress. My focus is going to be on the upper part and the sleeve only. So here my fabric is folded into two. I used the chest measurement I'm working with divided by 4. I added 2 extra inches for allowance and another 1.5 for zip. So for the shoulder to the half length, I added extra 1 inch for allowance. Here I just marked the zip allowance, which is 1.5 inch, and that is where my measurements are going to start. I'm marking the shoulder. From that line, I'm marking the shoulder divided by 2. So shoulder measurement divided by 2 is what I'm marking here. I mark the same thing down, and then I'm marking the armhole, which is 6 inches, and I'm going to curve that out. So this piece right here is the back piece. So after curving the armhole, I am marking the neck width of 2.5 inches. Now if you're making this for a smaller child, let's say 5 years and below, I think you should use 2 inches for the neck width. So I slant the shoulder by 1/2 inch. I came down 1/2 inch on the armhole side, and then I connected to that 2.5 inches, and then I'm marking neck of 1 inch, neck depth of 1 inch. So here I'm covering the back neck. Next, on this down part, I went in by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to connect that to the upper part. So I'm going to locate 6 inches from the shoulder and slant that to that point. I didn't mark here, but I got exactly that 6 inches. So, or 5 inches, sorry, 5 inches. So from that neckline, I came down by 1.5 inch. I'm trying to create the keyhole at the back, like you saw in the picture at the beginning. So I came up by 3 inches from the down part, and then I'm going to make a curve to meet that 1.5 from that neckline, and then I'm marking 3 inches from the zip line inwards. So initially this is what I did, but I later reduced it. People can be funny. Before somebody will come and see it's too wide, so I had to reduce it. I still had a keyhole, but a little smaller. So what I did was I came up by 4 inches instead from the down part, and then I made a curve, not up to 3 inches again. So this time around we have 2.5 from the zip line. Then I connected to that neck point. So now I'm cutting, starting with the shoulder slant. I'm going to cut, and then the armhole, and then I will cut out the neckline, and then the keyhole, and I will open the zip side, and then this slant as well, I'm cutting that out. This should help the back a bit, although it's optional, you don't have to do it. So this is the keyhole now. I'm opening this zipper part. I'm going to notch the zip allowance. It's kind of going to serve as a guide later on. So this is it for the back piece. This is how it's going to look like when it's done. That is the opening in the middle. So next, let's cut the front part. My fabric here is folded into 2 again, using the chest round divided by 4 plus extra 2 inches. Here I'm marking the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Shoulder of 12 divided by 2 is 6. And I'm also marking armhole of 6 inches. So I'm covering the armhole now. Next, I'm going to mark the neck width, which is 2.5 inches. Like I said, you should use 2 if you're sewing for a smaller person. I'm making this one for a child that is 8 years old. So the neck depth I used 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches wide, 2.5 inches deep for the front. So I've curved the front neckline, and next we're going to cut. I also slanted the shoulder. I don't know if I mentioned that, using 1/2 inch, exactly like I did the back. So next I'm going to cut out, as you can see, the shoulder slant, the armhole, and then the neckline. Next I'm going to cut lining pieces for both the front and the back pieces. Here is the tie. It's going to have a belt. So I have a belt here. It's about 6 inches wide and the length is about 24 inches. So I'm going to go sew like so. I folded it into two right sides together. I'll close one end and then go join it with the machine. Now here are my lining pieces for both the back pieces and then the front piece. So for the picture you saw at the beginning, the neckline is small but it has no collar. So what you do is go sew the neckline like so, sew the tiny zip line and then sew the keyhole side all the way up like that. But for me, I'm going to add a collar to mine. So I'm not going to be sewing the neckline, but I will close every other part, the zip line, the keyhole, and all of that, leaving only the neckline. For the front sew, you place your lining on the right side, and then you go sew the neckline using like half of an inch. But since I'm going to add the collar to mine, I'm not going to be sewing the neckline. Please, if you're still watching this video to this point, kindly give it a like. It's going to really help improve my channel and more people are going to see it when you do that. Thank you so much. So here is it. I have sewn the belt. I turned them to the right side, and then this is the back piece. I have sewn the zip line and the keyhole, and I have ironed it neatly. Here I am marking the zip allowance. So after turning it with the lining, we're going to be marking 1 inch instead of 1.5 like we did initially. So after marking the zip allowance, I'm going to go join the back pieces like that. So that upper tiny part and then the lower part like so. So after joining the zip line, this is what the upper part is looking like. It's looking very beautiful. Give it a like if you think it's the same. Here I am marking ½ inch from the down part. I'm going to come up by ½ inch. That is where the belt is going to sit. So we need that ½ inch to join to the lower part. If your belt is exactly at the edge, you may have difficulties joining the lower part of the gown to it. So I've placed it. So the part of the belt that is open is what is facing the seam allowance. I'm going to pin it in place like so. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other angle. So if you get to subscribe to this channel, I guess this is the time to do so. Thank you so much. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the second belt. I'll place it on that ½ inch line like so, and then I will pin it again before we continue. Give this video a like if you're still watching. I need the encouragement, you guys. Thank you so much. So next on the front piece, I'm going to keep this one aside for now, and then I will mark the measurements on the front piece. So this is the front. I folded it into two, and we're going to mark the chest measurement up here and then the waist measurement. Using my ruler, I'm going to connect the both points together like so, and then I will do the same thing on this other side. Waist measurement, that's the half length round divided by 4, and then the chest measurement divided by 4 as well. So I've connected the points together, and next I'm going to place both the front and the back right sides facing each other, and then we will go and join the two together. So make sure as you're placing it, the belt is not twisted and it's also out of the way. So it shouldn't be in the way of the seam line. so it doesn't get caught in and all of that. I'm stretching it out, making sure it's aligned on the shoulder. So using my pins, I'm going to pin it together before I take it to the machine. So pinning kind of takes time, but it saves you a lot of it as well because it minimizes errors. So after pinning everything, we're going to go sew on those lines, and then we'll join the shoulders together. So while joining the shoulder, you make sure you're joining the main fabric to the main fabric, and then the lining piece to the lining piece right sides together. After sewing, I've turned to the right side and I have ironed, and this is what we have. I have also trimmed the seam allowances on the inside. So this is what the upper part is looking like. So next we are going to go over to the sleeve. Like I said, the focus is on the upper part and the sleeve part. I have my fabric here folded into two. It is wide. I just used a random measurement. You can decide what you want, use like 15 inches or so. I used 15 inches, but there was no calculation to that. I just wanted it as full as possible. You may not want yours to be so full, so you can use 10 or let's say 12. I also have a band piece that is 4 inches wide, so folded into two. That gave us 2 inches. So we're going to use half of it for allowance. We're going to have about 1.5 left by the time we are done. So the band is folded into two, and then I am going to reduce it. We don't need all of that. What I did was fold into two, measure the sleeve round divided by 2, and then I added extra 2 for allowance, and that is what we have there. So for this piece, I came down by 3 inches, and then I made a curve like so to cut out the sleeve. I have 2 pieces for both of the sleeves right here. Just a wide piece, 15 inches wide. Unfold, that means when you open it up, you have like 30. Although I think that was a little too full at the end of the day, but it looks nice, so yeah. So for the band now, I'm going to place the lower part of the sleeve, the midpoint to the midpoint, and then I'm going to gather that into the space, leaving the 2 inches allowance plain. So from the edge to where the 2 inches start, I'll gather it in and then leave that part without gathers, as you can see. So the gathers are centered, they are in the center of the sleeve part. Next, I'm going to go join the sleeves together. Like I fold it into two, as you can see, and then I will join it using the sleeve round divided by 2. So the down part, I use the sleeve round divided by 2. I was working with 8 inches, so I used 4 here, and then I will just join it all the way up as it is. I will repeat the same thing for the second sleeve, and this is what our sleeve is looking like so far. So next we are going to gather this into the armhole of the top. We'll match the side seams together, and then we will also, from there I will just make pleats and gathers all through the armhole to get us that balloon effect. Also, the length of the sleeve, I added extra 5 inches. So let's say the part without the band is 7 inches. You add extra 5, which is going to make it 12, and that is the length. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.